some reports of Nestorian Christians, ancient Eastern Christians, arriving in Japan in the ancient times, but Christianity really kicked off in the 16th century with the arrival of the Europeans. Now initially they had some success. For instance, they had some good patrons like Lord Oda helped build the first Christian church, and even some daimyos converted and visited Rome as part of the Tensho embassy. Others, like Hasakura Chuchinaga, converted whilst he visited Europe. In fact, he visited the New World first and then visited Europe. But when he returned to Japan in the early 17th century, Christianity had been banned. In fact, Hideyoshi first began clamping down on Christians in the late 16th century, famously here in Nagasaki, where he crucified some Christians. But it was the Tokugawa shogunate that finally outlawed Christianity because they saw it as a destabilizer against their new rule. And they were partially right. For instance, in the 1630s, after the Matsukara clan here in Nagasaki started overtaxing people, it was the Christians who led a famous rebellion against them. Although this rebellion included ronin and farmers and the like, so it was the Christians who largely led it. And thousands of people were killed, and it helped Japan become even more isolationist. However, the Dutch helped the shogunate crush the rebellion, so they were granted special favours. But with Christianity now banned in Japan, a hidden underground sect of Christians survived, and they began creating their own customs, largely mixing Christianity with Buddhism. To catch Christians, the shogun employed a tactic called fumi-ise. This required the accused to stand on images of the Virgin Mary or Jesus. If they could do so, they were saved. So over time, after all this persecution, gradually the Christians started to wane in numbers until the arrival of the Westerners in the 19th century. However, I'm just going to tell you about one man who I find interesting. His name was Giovanni Sadotti. Now, he was an Italian Jesuit who heard about the plight of Christians in Japan, so he came here in the early 18th century trying to save them. He was imprisoned, but he was given a relatively easy life here in Japan, and he spent the rest of his days here. And some of his teachings were recorded by the Japanese, so it wasn't a lost cause altogether,